How many challenges you've been through, how many things you've overcome in your life, and everything that you go through could be a lesson for someone who's going to learn from and achieve some great things. This is Now Tell Us. I'm your host, Anthony Morore, and today, as always, we have a guest with us who is going to tell us about his story as a soldier. Jason Pike is his name, and he's going to be here shortly. So, why don't you join me as we go and meet him? And remember to share this video, this audio, whatever it is that you're watching or listening to, with all your friends. Give us some feedback, ask questions as we keep going. So, let's go. Here we go. Hi, Jason.
Hey, Anthony, how are you?
I'm fine. How about you?
Doing well. Thank you very much I'm honored to be on your show.
Yeah, welcome. And we are also honored to have you here.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
Okay. Where are you right now as we speak?
Right now, I'm in San Antonio, Texas.
San Antonio, Texas. And how is the weather today?
Today it's clear, very clear. We had some rain. We needed that rain. We had a rain for a while, but now it's clear, sunny skies.
Beautiful. Now, I am curious to know about you, and every listener or viewer is interested to know who's this guy who's come here with a great smile and some confidence. Great confidence. Yeah, who is Jason?
Yeah, yeah. My name is Jason Pike, and I have come out with a new book. It's my only book that I've ever come out with, but it's about my life in the Army. 31 years in the Army, and 9 years were living overseas. So I have a pretty big story, and the story is really about survival, persistence, never giving up. It's that old thing that we hear about, but I have a way and a flavor of putting it into a different type of a story. Coming from a Southern guy in the Southern United States with that type of accent, with that type of language. And I come across pretty raw, but there's a lot of lessons for everyone, and no matter what phase of life they're in.
Looking forward to learning more about it. But before we go there, what I see LTC on your name. What does that mean?
Oh, I put LTC up there because that's Lieutenant Colonel. That's just a rank that I have from the military,
Okay.
and that's a senior manager in the military is all. Yeah,
Oh, that's so you rose high in the ranks when you're not there. You're retired, I guess.
I'm retired. On my identification card, it still has the rank on there, but I started from the bottom. I mean, the private. A private is the lowest person that in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And I rose up through all the rank for many ranks, I guess, and have a lot of lessons in life and struggle, a lot of failures, a lot of fiascos, and many bizarre events that occurred. And I became very vulnerable and put this on paper and for other people to learn and to not only just be entertained, but to understand a lot of the basics of just perseverance and resiliency. Another term would just be grit. Yeah.
How was your entry to the army when at that level that you ended at the bottom? How was it? Was it? Is it? I don't know. I don't come from the States, and I don't know how easy or how hard it is for you to be accepted.
It was very difficult in the
Um,
very difficult. I was nearly thrown. I joined when I was 17 years old, and
okay.
1982, 1983.
Mm.
And I was not able to drink the water coming out of the fire hose. It was really, really fast, and I couldn't understand how to get all the instructions and do the right thing. And that was very, very difficult time. And my drill sergeant wanted to kick me out of the military at a very young age. I couldn't get my things together. And so he sent me to a program, what's called a criminal confinement facility. It's like a military brig. It's a place he had where he wanted to scare me straight, and me and another soldier. He wanted to either scare us straight or to break us. And one soldier broke, and I stood. I kept on going, but it was a very, very difficult time. Yeah.
And when you say drinking from the fire hose, is that in literally or is it an expression?
That's an expression of, like, you cannot drink from a fire hose because it's coming out too fast.
Yes.
There were so many orders and instructions, and there
Mhm.
was so much of a volume that I couldn't understand what to do and how to. I didn't know how to apply myself like other soldiers were to get my stuff together, and so yes, I was not able to tie my shoes or maybe to put on my helmet correctly or to have my equipment aligned in inspections. There were just so many things that I was not able to get. Now, I was identified early in life as someone who has a problem learning.
Mm.
And so I just couldn't get my stuff together. And one of the jobs of a drill sergeant or a sergeant that when you go into the military is to identify weaknesses in people, and I was not able to adapt that well.
Mhm.
So he said, "Well, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you're having problems." They want to try to break you out of the military, or they want to make you. They tried to break me in that facility. I went there for about only 4 hours, but it was hell. It was a different level of hell. More of the screaming and yelling at you, making big rocks into small rocks. It was just climbing obstacle courses, uh, and they wanted to try to break you, but I stayed in there and come back. When I come back to the platoon, me and that other soldier, we were all bloodied up, all of our hands, our arms, our legs. We had torn uniforms. We had been through hell. And then the drill sergeant says, "Go look at these two sorry privates." And he had the platoon come and take a look at us and talk to us. Another thing is we were sort of like guinea pigs for the platoon, to where we're going to be setting the example of going through another level of hell if everybody else can't get their stuff together. So he wanted to send the worst, and I was one of the worst. And after that, I come back with a different level of confidence, maybe wired a bit too tight. And so I started to think I could not express what happened in that facility like I am right now, with
Mm.
all the level, because it's a story that is really unheard of in the military. They don't really do that normally. It's just my drill sergeant. He had a way of trying to improve his privates or to break his privates, and that was just an example of that story when I was 17 years old. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard some of these stories, and it's always good to hear it from someone who's experienced it firsthand. And it's not an easy thing to go through and become an army and to join an army and to go up the ranks with all the training, with all the challenges that you have got to face along the way.
Yes, that's really, and it's really unusual because I have been verified as a problem learner from an educational psychologist
Hmm.
3 different times. I think in my book I identified it twice, but it's been 3 different times. A person, in other words, I think you and all your viewers, if I had to gamble money, I would bet that you and all your viewers could do better on any standardized test than me,
Mm.
given any type of test. And I just had to make it up through compensation. I had to work a little harder, a little differently. So yes, and I was not. I have 3 college degrees, but no. I mean, my educational, my counselor in high school told me do not even try college. And that was known. That was not, I'm not knocking them, but it was known that I was not able to, and even to this day, I cannot do a specific task as well as most people can. And it's just something I was able to get around and try to work around. Yeah.
And we are glad that you're here. Now you've written also a book. In addition to all those, you've written a book that is doing very well on
Yeah.
Amazon. Tell them about Amazon. How is it performing on Amazon?
So right now, my book has been
Is
for the,
a soldier against all odds. Yeah.
yeah,
That's it.
a soldier against
Mhm.
all odds, because there was just so many different odds that I went through. This is on Amazon. It's on jasonpike.org. A Soldier Against All Odds. You'll find it there. I am the author as well as the narrator. I have narrated the book. I have an audio book. It's in my voice. It's coming from the horse's mouth, and so you'll see the authenticity of it. And it's been number one in the past 2 days. And I think it's still number one now. It's been hovering between number one and number 40 for a long time. So it's been doing pretty well. I've got it on Kindle, audio. I've got it on different formats. So it's there for you. It's on Audible as well. So it's doing pretty well. And again, it's just about struggle and survival, really. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. And it's not so, it's just about 5 months, not even. So it's doing quite well. And I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's been a wild ride. I've had it out a few months, and a lot of people want to podcast with me, want to understand the stories and the details of it. And you know what? You could have various episodes. I know that this is 30 minutes, but the stories in here are just, you could go, one story could take you 10 minutes. So, but no, well, I can work with any story you want me to go with.
How about hearing your worst experience there? I believe it's not that first one. The introduction wasn't the worst, or was it?
Well, let's go to the worst experience. Well, I would say the worst experience was when I was a senior guy in the military. I was a lieutenant colonel, which is a senior manager. The worst experience was stepping on some toes and being disagreeable about about my job with another person. I was located in South Korea. South Korea is a station. We have troops in South Korea. To defend not only any aggression in the region. So it's been a tour of military soldiers, airmen, sailors, what have you. I went over there. I said a few things that I disagreed with a lot of the things of my job, and that in senior management, you ever heard of the term being thrown under the bus or having a federal investigate? Another term would be gaslighting.
Okay.
This happens in organizations. It could be with churches, or it could be with schools, or it could be with different types of. So the worst experience would be thrown under the bus because I just didn't agree with a few things. We all have our differences, and when you're in senior management in the military or in the government, there are ways that they can play games and do things to make your life miserable, or to get you transferred, or what have you. And so they sent. I don't know if you've ever heard of a hotline. A hotline is it's a way to send a message out to authorities about different things. It's mostly anonymous, right? You could have you've got your suicide hotlines, but you've got your other types, sexual assault hotlines. So in my case, they threw out a complaint that I was selling secrets of the U.S. government to foreign nationals. This was called a subversion and espionage hotline. So they call it SAIDA, which was total bullshit. It was total bogus. But when they do that, other people on the other end of the line, they have to go and they have to do an investigation. So I went under a federal investigation for more than 2 years, made my life miserable, of that I was possibly doing something very bad to the U.S. military, which is total bullshit. but I had to live with it, and I had to have people follow me around and make phone calls and do various play games, computer crashes. There's all kinds of things in that chapter. What happened was they notified me and my commander that I was going to be facing the wind and facing the situation at hand. I had to go into the office of the commander, and I had an office. My commander had an office. CID and MI. CID is Central Intelligence Division, Criminal Investigation Division. MI is Military Intelligence. We had two sets of those folks on two different offices briefing. They were briefing the commander separately. We were both being briefed, but in two different rooms that where I was going to face the wind with. Mm-hmm. So at the time, this was a total surprise to me, meaning I couldn't believe that this was happening. There were many other, and it's like, they asked me, have you been doing bad things, selling secrets, giving documents, passing on information about the U.S. military to foreign nationals? And I was pissed off. I was very angry. And I said, hell no, I haven't done that. This is all a bunch of bullshit. And I know who was behind it. They were just giving us the message, but I knew who was behind it. It's in my chapter. And at the end of the day, he left, and they said, okay, I had to go see a defense attorney that was a military defense attorney. And they said, what's going to happen to you is you're going to be checked out by these people while you're here for some time. And it was, you're going to be followed around. You're going to be monitored, everything. And that was what happened. Now, it was total bullshit, right? Is sometimes false accusations have a way to screw things up, and that's their job. You can say something. I mean, we all have, we've all been backstabbed in life. That's sort of, or talked about. That's a normal, that happens. That's not good, but that happens. But this was a different level of it than where they just wanted to screw with me. And it really causes problems. It really does. It causes problems. And become paranoid. You feel guilty. I felt like I'd done something wrong, which I have not done anything wrong, but these feelings come through because you're totally surprised. You're caught off guard and with a bunch of bullshit. And so that thing hung around for a while. And and another thing is, after I left Korea, no one told me that, we're sorry. And no one told me that this was a bunch of bullshit. It just went away. And that was a deep, dark time. During that time, I come back in the military. We move from place to place. I come back. My father dies, or I see him die. And then, oh, by the way, you're going to Afghanistan. I was going to a war zone. And I still had that federal investigation stirring up in my head. My father's death, that was 1, 2, and then a 3 punch. I was trained for Afghanistan, but I wasn't trained for, that was a minor aggravation. But that federal investigation, which didn't amount to anything, which was a total, I got an entire chapter on that. Well, there's a whole lot more that happened there. And then my father's death occurred. And then I go to Afghanistan. It was a 1, 2, 3 punch. It was a deep, dark time in my life. Yeah.
What time frame was that? From the time
that was 2007 to 2011. So 2007 to 2010, that's where all the bullshit happened. Big time bogus bullshit. I mean, sometimes I look back and I wonder how in the world could I have avoided it, but it was something that I stepped into, and it was not my. So then my father dies in 2011, right after I come back. In 2011, at the same time, oh, by the way, you're going to go to war. You're going to Afghanistan to go, to combat, which in a way that was okay for me just to get away and maybe have my mind. But my father's death, and you got 1, 2, 3 punches there. In Afghanistan, I wasn't worried about the military. Matter of fact, when I was in Afghanistan, I had a death wish on me. It's like, I wasn't scared. I was sort of like, yeah, come kill me. I don't care anymore. So I wasn't, because my mind was on my father's death, and it was on that federal investigation, and my soldiers helped to take care of me. At the time, I just told my soldiers that my father died. I didn't tell them about the stupid stuff. I couldn't. sometimes I just can't. There's some things in this world you just can't explain,
Yeah.
and there's some things I just can't. I could not articulate it. It took me a while. Even me and the writer on that chapter had to figure out a way to explain the stuff that happened to the common person. So I'm writing this that part of my life in a way that anybody could be from Kansas, could be from Africa, Greece, wherever you're at, to try to understand these things that happens in life. And life is not fair. Sometimes stupid stuff occurs, and sometimes things will hurt you. There's time. I mean, I've never really wanted to kill anyone
Mm.
except that time when they were telling me about these false charges and all this games were being played.
Yeah.
Lots of games are in that chapter. And I
Mhm.
really wanted to. That's the only time I really cared to kill somebody. I mean, yeah, there was a suicide bomber in Afghanistan, but that's my job. But I'm talking about another U.S. Officials, things of that nature.
Yeah.
So I had to write about it, and I had to talk about it, also to help, relieve my stress that I had built up from that. It's sort of
Mm.
a therapy. So I wanted to express that and also teach other people. Some things happen. It could be in your churches or schools or organizations where people play games, and your instinct is just to go kick the shit out of them.
Mm.
But that's not always good. I really wanted to, but you might get in a, you might make things worse if you do that. Yeah.
So what kept you going?
Family, friends, family for the most part, just sticking to your side, and that's really, you got to connect with people. Um, that's probably the main thing, and then
Mm.
so yeah, and having some trusted mentors out there, or people that you trust you could talk to on a very open scale. Yeah.
Mm. That's quite a story. And as you say, you have got many of them inside there.
That was the deepest, darkest time.
Yeah.
That was Now I've had a lot of funny stories. So when that chapter, I had to change people's names. Other chapters I had deep dark times with as well, but it wasn't at that degree. I tell you what's my fault in life, and I'll tell you what's not my fault in life, and that's what makes this memoir different. It's a 31 years in the military. Yes, I've seen blood and guts, but blood and guts is not necessarily the story. The
Mm.
story is just the ups and downs of a life in uniform, starting from the bottom and going to a high level of the military. And it's about love. It's about jealousy. It's
Mhm.
about fighting. It's about war. All the things of life that you have. Are there. All the emotions of life are in the book, and so I'm pretty. I think this book is a little different than a lot of military memoirs, because I come to that from that angle. And a lot of military memoirs you're going to see out there is like, I went over to this war and I shot all these people and I killed all. This is life. This is about life in the military, and from a person who was less than best. I did the best I could, but I got into a lot of trouble. But I got a lot of awards, and I went to a pretty high rank. I think that's what sets this up. And I'm brutally honest. I tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Lots of ugly and lots of bad in there. So you'll see everything from girls and crazy things and travels and all kinds of stuff. So yeah.
Tell us a funny story in there.
Oh, a funny story. So that you can't make this one up. Um, so we have a term used in the United States. It's called falling into shit. All right,
Mm.
or falling or being neck deep in shit. Now that's a term we use as we're in a very bad place in life. A
Mhm.
lot of people use that term, but I have literally almost drowned in shit. I mean, I have. I'll explain what happened.
Yeah.
So, well, I was a young man in my 20s, and I was walking alone at night in South Korea. So, again, I was in South Korea. The reason I was walking alone at night is I was going on an exercise to demonstrate my ability to read a map and a compass. And, well, shit or feces, it's used as fertilizer in South Korea at that time. They
Mhm.
would collect it along the ditches of the rice paddies, and I was walking. Well, so they had dropped us off about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. we each had to go and demonstrate our ability to read a map at night. And I was walking along a rice paddy. I could smell it, and I knew it was there. Um, but it's slippery, and I don't. We can't use flashlights or anything like that. So I slipped on my back and I fell into the poop. I went up to neck deep in it,
Mm.
and I was going down. I was going down. I had it. We have equipment. I have my rifle and things of that nature. We have our load bearing equipment, and I was going down in a pool of shit. Now, my last name is Pike, and I don't want to be called Poopin' Pike or Pike dies in poop. That thing. I was thinking of that, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is not the way to die. I want to die like an old man does. I don't want to die in shit.
Yeah.
So, so I was going down, and my gag, I could smell it. I just felt, oh, I don't want it to go into my throat. It's right here, and I got to keep my nose. I got to keep my airway above the shit. And I was thinking I've never had a family. I have never had any children, and I'm thinking there's a lot of things in life I have not done, and this is the way I'm gonna go out. And I started, oh my God, what I did by just accident, well, a good thing was I was able to very slowly caterpillar. It was like a quicksand type of material, and it was taking. So I caterpillared at an angle to try to get a little bit up on top of it, and then just squirm my way out very, very slowly, being careful not to go back in.
Mm-hmm.
I got out, felt relieved, and then I laid on my back and looked up at the stars, and I'm thinking, God, why do you put me in this shit? And I'm thinking, why does this happen to me? It's just like always some damn thing after the other, and I'm thinking, oh God. And then I was relieved though, but I was looking at the stars thinking, why? I'm a mob of shit at this time. So what I did was I started rolling around like a dog to get the bulk of it off. It permeated the liquid, the urine, all that stuff had gone through everywhere. I'm also thinking I might be a medical case. I might be medically evac out of here because of the bacteria and things. And I started thinking of that. And then I started thinking, well, now I have another problem. I've got to figure out a way. I don't want anybody to know this. I want to save my embarrassment. I want to save my face, I guess what we call it. And so I said, well, how can I get back to camp without no one knowing it or no one smelling it? And I didn't know. I said, well, I got to figure out a way to. Well, I saw a light out there, a farmer's house. So I walked toward the light. It was a farmhouse. And I was pretty much all in shit. And so I walked over there. I didn't know if I was walking toward heaven or hell at this point. I was going to go there. I didn't even know what I was going to do. I know they speak Korean and they don't talk to the Americans. We're not allowed to go. But I went over there, knocked on the door. And so I don't speak Korean a little bit, but they don't speak English. And the woman of the house comes to the door and she looks at me and goes, "Agu, agu, agu." And I go, "Annyeonghaseyo, annyeonghaseyo." And they look at me and English and it's not, well, I'm in an emergency situation. So we don't need to, she knows I'm in a bad situation by looking at me. So we started doing a lot of arm and hand signals, trying to figure out. She said, strip naked with her hands. And I stripped naked in front of a stranger. I gave her all my equipment except my rifle. I kept my rifle, my map, and my compass. She cleaned it up and she delivered it to me. So what it was is she motioned me to go back to camp naked, barefoot naked. And so I walked to camp about a mile or so naked with my map and compass and my rifle. And I also wanted to stay away from soldiers. And so I didn't want them to see me walking back naked, or they could smell me if I got too close to them. So I had to move my way back to camp. I made my camp back there before they came back. I moved all my stuff out, cleaned up. My woman, the Ajima, the fairy godmother, she brought all the equipment back to me, and it was clean in the next morning, and I was able to save my face. Now, there's two things that went right that night. Was I got out of the poop alive, and I saved my face. I got back to camp. Now, of course, I failed that course. I had to do it a few other times to succeed in that course. But yeah, that's the poop and pike story. And but that's a funny story. I've literally been there and done that. Yeah.
You have a way of getting out of it. Now, with the ranks that you have got over the years, I believe it's not only the ranks, but there are some other things. It's not the finding yourself in a pool of poop. So you've also found yourself at a place where you're happy, you're celebrating, when you're given another badge. What was the greatest, the best that you can remember, the best time that you can remember?
I think just graduating from college was an achievement for me.
So,
And
so it's not the army.
well, I mean, I had been in the reserves or the National Guard for a while, and it took me a little bit longer than most. I didn't go to college in a traditional route. I had to go through a community college. My scores and my high school, well, my entrance test scores, I had to go a untraditional route to get into a reputable university.
Mm,
Whatever it takes to get that degree, a college education. It was an agriculture education. It was not an engineering. It took me longer than most. That was an achievement. So, I mean, against the advice of a lot of good people, I went ahead and went to college anyway. Because when I graduated from basic training, I couldn't explain all the hell that I went through. And I figured if I can do that, I can do other things. And that sort of successes build on each other. So getting that college degree was sort of like, what the hell just happened? It's not just basic training. I went in and got the college degree and surprised a lot of people and myself as well. And I did it slower, but I did get it. And that just built on my confidence to go further and further and further. A lot of these achievements in life, they build on each other. And if you can focus on those achievements and build on those achievements, that's usually a good thing mentally of how to go through success. And of course, I had my shares of failures as well, but you try to minimize or learn from the failures and keep going forward the best you can. Yeah.
yeah, that's life. Wow. So, for anybody who may be joining us now, joined as we are moving on, we are with Jason Pike, and we are talking about his book, A Soldier Against All Odds. Right? You,
It's all odds. It's all odds. I mean, in the
all
beginning, we yeah, a soldier against all odds. I know that there's a lot of all odds out there,
mhm,
but it's a soldier against all odds. And so, in the beginning, we thought we might want to name the book. We don't need any Einsteins in the army.
mhm,
Just sort of pay. There is a lot of educational issues that I had and ways I got around it throughout life and through when you go up any organization. You need to learn different things. You need to go through different certifications and learn things. That's just
yeah,
part of life. You got to learn extra things like this podcast. I didn't know how to do a damn podcast about 3 months ago, but
mhm,
we're all trying to figure things out. And that's what you do in an organization if you want to go up the ranks. And so there's a whole lot of themes of just yeah, of trying to overcome various obstacles, especially education and life. But in the military, we also have a lot of education. There's a lot of military education that we have. Now, there's some education that I got in the military that was just damn fun. I mean, jumping out of an airplane, a perfectly good airplane, jumping out of that was fun. I loved it. It's just exciting. And I got onto that pretty well. Some things like, that, you know, reading a military map and falling in a poop. And there were some other challenges that I had, but some things I did really good. And some things I had to work on a little bit differently. Yeah.
mm. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you for sharing everything that you've shared with us. Now, I'm curious, what's in the future? Now, this time we are promoting the book, but what other things are in plan?
In the future, my plans are to continue these podcasts to get my expression out on the book to help, like it's number one, number two, whatever now, just to get that out there and to keep that going for a little while.
Mm,
I've got another book that I'm thinking about doing, having to do with veterans, how to get your veterans benefits. That's just something I've been thinking of. Right now, I want to work with this podcasting and to get the word out, and then I need to get another ghostwriter. A lot of people who write books, they have, even if I could write, it's not recommended that you do it. It's better to have someone that helps you out. A ghostwriter, they call it a ghostwriter, and I would have to find a ghostwriter to put in my story of veterans benefits and achieving your benefits that you're needed in the military or as a veteran. But that's something on the back burner that I've got right now. So yeah.
Okay. We wish you all the best.
Thank
And
you very much. I
yes,
appreciate it.
yes, and just as a reminder to anybody that would want to connect with Jason, you can go to his website, which is www.jasonpike.org. .org. And
ORG. Yeah.
ORG. The
I'm
link
on.
to the book is on the description of this.
Yes, the description is there. You'll see the exciting description that I have about I've been arrested. I've been investigated, and they've tried to break me. And but that's just part of life. I've had many different debacles, and that's what I wanted to get the attention out there. That yes, I am senior, but I've also had a lot of situations, and it's really difficult to be vulnerable. It's very difficult. That was a hard thing for me to do, to get over that,
Mm,
because we all have our, we all have our lives. Nobody's life is perfect. If you're very honest with your life, you're going to find a whole lot of imperfection. And so to get that out there, you had to be comfortable in your skin. You had to get through that. See, when I saw that thing written out about a year ago, it was just I can't explain it. It was almost like a vomiting effect that happened.
mm,
I was scared. I was scared of the damn book. I've been scared of it. I have had anxiety attacks over it. I have just because am I good enough? You get these thoughts of, am I good enough to put this out there? I can go to a library and see some great memoirs, and I'm thinking, I'm not good like them. I'm not. I'm different. These people are really, and you start comparing yourself, right? And then you start thinking, do I really want to do it, and go for it? And that was a very, I can't explain it. It's a very different. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a story.
yeah.
I understand that,
Mm,
but to see that damn thing written out and then to produce it, that's a different type of level that you have to go through. Yeah.
mm.
Mhm.
And we are glad that you did it, that you took that challenge and did it anyway. And we also thank you for coming to this show and sharing your story with us. We are just about to sign off, but before we go, we ask you to leave us with a few words that we should always remember. Which are they?
Well, I think in life or in the military, if you show up at the right place, at the right time, with the right equipment, and more importantly, with the right attitude, you're going to be doing much better than most. Now, so if you can just right time, right place, right equipment, right attitude, you're doing better than most people. And if you stick to those things, you'll be doing great in life or whatever organization you have.
Wow. Thank you for that. We really appreciate. So be at the right place at the right time with the right equipment, and you will be doing just all right.
Yeah,
Other
you'll be
than
good. Yeah, sure thing.
okay. So says Jason Pike. And that's about it. Thank you very much once again. This has been Now Tell Us. I have been your host, Anthony Murore, and together with our guest today, Jason Pike, we are saying bye for now.
Bye bye.
Bye.